I want to talk about Anthony Bourdain, the celebrated chef, author, and television host, and how he transcended the boundaries of culinary arts, food and cooking, to become a global cultural ambassador, to be an agent of positive change. And through his work, particularly in television shows like No Reservations and Parts Unknown, he demonstrated how food could serve as a powerful medium for fostering cross-cultural understanding and breaking down stereotypes and promoting empathy. His legacy is not merely culinary, but deeply humanitarian, as he consistently used his platform to highlight marginalized voices and bridge divides across a very divided world. What he did was an expression of leadership without the fanfare of formal positional authority. He used his talent and his platform to be a change agent and a cultural bridge builder. Now, before I analyze his approach, let me tell you a personal story. I'm a black belt in this martial art called Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I've been doing it a long time. Anthony Bourdain also practiced jiu-jitsu. He loved it, and he took it very seriously. It was a way for him to de-stress, a change of pace from his rigorous TV work. Now, jiu-jitsu is a grappling art, so you fight mostly on the ground. It's hard, very hard, but it's a lot of fun, and it's good for you. Anyway, Bourdain came to Singapore to do a shoot for his TV show. That show was about the street food, hawker culture of Singapore. While there, he trained jiu-jitsu with me at our academy. I was in Singapore at the time. As we were both older guys, it was easy for us to connect, as most of the people who do jiu-jitsu are much younger. He was a delightful guy. He had a lonely air about him. I guess that's because he's a bit of a pilgrim, a wanderer, but he was very nice. Anyway, I remember when we grappled, he was constantly running out of energy. He'd become fatigued, and I would beat him very easily. When we first fought, he was tough, very strong, and very good, but over time his energy waned. Of course, I had had a lot more experience than him, but I could tell he was a little off. I challenged him a bit as I was the senior belt, saying, "Come on, keep on going, don't give up so easily," and he would try harder. Anyway, we sat around afterwards and chatted, and he said he was feeling, lately, a bit down, and one reason he was becoming fatigued so easily was because he recently had started smoking again, because of, in his words, personal issues in his life. Well, a few months later, as you know, he took his life. In a moment of absolute depression, sadness, for whatever reason, he ended his life. A tragedy indeed. The world lost a wonderful soul. But while he ended his life, his work lives on. And while he lived, he did some extraordinary leadership, change agent work to make this world a better place. And that's what I want to talk about. Anthony Bourdain, the change agent, the leadership of Anthony Bourdain. Now, Bourdain believed that food was a universal language capable of connecting people across cultural, political, and social boundaries. In the TV show Parts Unknown, he traveled to countries often misunderstood or misrepresented in Western media, such as Iran, Myanmar, and Libya. By sharing meals with locals, he showcased the humanity and the richness of these cultures and countries that were frequently reduced to political headlines. For example, in Iran, he dined with families in Tehran, emphasizing the warmth and hospitality of everyday Iranians, despite the political tensions between the US and Iran. Now, this act of sharing food became a symbolic gesture of bridge building, reminding viewers that cultural differences can be transcended or minimized by a shared human experience. Now, Bourdain's storytelling, it challenged stereotypes by presenting cultures in their complexity rather than through simplistic narratives. For example, in his episode on Beirut, filmed during the 2006 conflict, he highlighted not only the devastation but also the resilience and vibrancy of Lebanese culture, the Lebanese people. He showed viewers that beyond war and destruction there existed a thriving culinary tradition and a people determined to preserve their cultural identity. Very sincere and very proud people. And by humanizing people in conflict zones, Bourdain encouraged empathy and understanding, urging his audience to look beyond headlines and see the individuals behind them. Now, another hallmark of Bourdain's leadership work, shall we say, was his commitment to amplifying marginalized voices. He often featured local chefs and street vendors and everyday citizens rather than focusing solely on elite culinary figures. In Vietnam, for instance, Bourdain showcased the humble street food culture, elevating the voices of vendors who represented the heart and soul of Vietnamese cuisine. And his collaboration with the then President Barack Obama in Hanoi, where they shared a simple meal of noodles and beer, symbolized the accessibility of food as a bridge between leaders or authority figures and ordinary citizens. And this moment underscored Bourdain's belief that meaningful connections often occur in very modest, simple settings. And beyond food, Bourdain used his platform to address broader social issues. He didn't preach, he simply put a spotlight on different concerns, and he would use storytelling to inspire change. For example, he spoke openly about immigration, recognizing the vital role immigrant workers play in the restaurant industry in the United States. He told that story in a way that gave a voice and a face and a story to these hardworking people operating behind the scenes, creating and serving our meals. He also highlighted the struggles of underrepresented communities, such as indigenous groups in Mexico, whose culinary traditions often were overlooked. He was not simply saying these minority groups have great food, but saying that they are great people. They love good food and they love their families, and they are an essential part of a wider human community and need to be understood, accepted, and included. He even went to Israel and Gaza, and as of the making of this video, Gaza, Palestine, is in a complete mess. The whole thing is a tragedy. But Bourdain broke bread with Palestinians and Israelis. He asked them tough, provocative questions in the spirit of learning. And as one Jewish observer wrote about that particular program, if you like food and you like Israel, this episode of Anthony Bourdain's Parts Unknown was a win-win. To me, he showed exactly how smart, curious people should engage a complex country, and how Israelis and Palestinians benefit from that approach. Well said. And his legacy lies in his ability to tell a story, a good story, and to create experiences that connect people across divides. His work demonstrated that cultural exchange is not about erasing differences, but about celebrating them, while at the same time recognizing a shared common humanity. Through food, he built bridges between cultures, challenged prejudices, and promoted empathy. What you eat, I eat. And when we eat, we talk. And when we talk, we get to know one another. His work continues to inspire chefs, travelers, and audiences worldwide to engage with the world, with different cultures and peoples, more thoughtfully, more respectfully, and more compassionately. So as I conclude this, let me emphasize that Anthony Bourdain was more than a chef or a TV presenter or entertainer. What he did was a form of leadership, not in getting people to follow, but to face the reality of our commonality, our shared humanity, you might say. It was bridge-building leadership in that it reduced the mystery of the other and generated a human connection. And leadership hasn't got to be a big deal. It can be manifest as a broad general contribution that modifies how people see themselves and see others. It can be very subtle in terms of how it is done and its impact on others over time. And for Anthony Bourdain, his legacy endures as a reminder that the simple act of sharing a meal can be a profound step toward building a more connected and empathetic world. And he famously said, you learn a lot about someone when you share a meal together. And might I add, not only do you learn about others, you learn about yourself, and that's a good thing. Okay, before you go, please subscribe to the channel. I do appreciate your support. And perhaps one day we too can share a meal together. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Okay, talk to you again soon.